Hello. The verse and devotion for today comes out of Matthew chapter 28. It's the very last part, verses 11 through 20. And the key verse for today is one that doesn't get focused on a whole lot, but in reality, I think it's key. It's extremely important. The verse before it, you've probably heard 100 times if you've been in church for any amount of period of time. But the key verse, verse 20, says, and this is Jesus talking to his disciples, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. Why is that the key verse this morning or today? Because you can open up the Word, you can read it till the cows come home, but if you don't obey it, it does you no good. If you don't believe it, it does you no good. This last part that I'm going to read for the devotion today is, in my opinion, sickening after what we've read the previous days and went over. Jesus died and then rose again on the third day. There was an earthquake. There were 2 earthquakes. There were people that rose from the dead. I mean, there were signs and signs and signs. And yet, there were still lies about it and deceitfulness. Not much has changed in this world. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of deceit. I'm tired of selfishness. And I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to myself. We all have these problems on our everyday lives. We all have hurts. We all have pains. But we miss the key component here. And that's to obey his commands. So, he took care of all this for us. We just have to let him do it. Lay it down and let him do it. Okay, verse 11 of chapter 28. While the women were on their way, some of the guards went into the city and reported to the chief priests everything that had happened. When the chief priests had met with the elders and devised a plan, good grief, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money. Money still talks, doesn't it? Did then, it does now. Telling them, you are to say, his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep. If this report gets to the governor, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble. Ugh. It's the way the enemy works. He's a thief and a destroyer and a liar. So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day. That's why a lot of them don't believe. Right there. Well, guess what? I believe in everything this Bible says. And I don't care. I do. I believe what it says, and I'm going to obey it. I'm going to do what Jesus says to do. Verse 16, Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, this is awesome here, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. So cool. This is the verse you've probably heard 100 times. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. Okay, I said this a couple days ago. What are you going to do with this? You going to sit on your patootie and not do anything with it, or are you going to get up and go to work? It says, go and make disciples of all nations. It's our job. It's not just the preacher's job or the missionary's job. It's your job. Wherever God has put you, make disciples. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what I'm supposed to do. So let's get busy and tell them about Jesus.